Member for Fox Hill.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't want to interrupt the member. I know this is on a point of order. This question of the status of the Auditor General's report, and I know that there's a lot of back and forth, and it fits conveniently into the narrative that the opposition wants to spin, their strategy of death by 1,000 cuts. But what I would say is this about reports, and I think the member for St. Anne's can bear this out. An auditor's report is only a snapshot of what occurs on the day the Auditor General shows up at the place. And that's all I say to the public. An Auditor General's report is only a snapshot of what he finds on the day he turns up on the place, to the place. I'm not saying anything else other than that an Auditor General's report is only a snapshot of what he finds on the day he shows up in the place. And so that means he could say, receipts weren't available for this, but the receipt may be available the day after he leaves.
That's right. That's right.
Whether it's 1 day or 2 days, it is only a snapshot of what he finds when he is there. That's all. So they're making much about this. It is only a snapshot. Only a snapshot.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Member for East Grand Bahama.
I certainly didn't intend to speak, but I do believe that intervention does demand a little bit of a response, clarification. The fact of the matter is that, A, if it is a financial audit, it would cover a period, usually a year. So it's not a snapshot as of that day. The balance sheet may be a snapshot of that particular day, but the audit would cover a period at least the fiscal year. But even more so relevant to the discussion with respect to urban renewal is that it is an operational audit much more so than it is a financial audit. Included in that is some financial matters in respect to how funds were spent and how they were accounted for. So while I understand what the member is trying to communicate, he may be a little bit off in terms of the actual way that an operational audit is conducted as opposed to a financial audit, and also that the additional value of an audit, which is the evaluation of the internal controls surrounding the whole operation. And the report, which has not been tabled as yet, neither does it need to be, because it is an audit that was conducted and requested by the Public Accounts Committee, and it will form a part of our report. It speaks to the operations, it speaks to the weakness or the strength of internal controls surrounding the operation of that agency. And so it is a little bit misleading to say that it is a snapshot. The auditor would have gone in, they would have conducted a review based upon a sample size, which they would have determined statistically. They would have determined statistically the sample size that they deemed necessary in order to reach a conclusion. And no audit, Mr. Speaker, no audit covers 100%.
Absolutely.
No audit. Every auditor takes a sample based upon whatever parameters he determines in order to determine a representative sample. And as the Leader of the Opposition has said, as the report does outline, that sample shows some serious issues that we ought to be concerned about. And if it is, in fact, representative of the whole, then the work of the Public Accounts Committee becomes that much more important.
Amen.
And so I don't want anyone, Mr. Speaker, to prejudge the process. I think it was particularly inappropriate, if I may just take the opportunity, for the co-chairs to say what they said.
Chair, rather not go there at this time.
It was inappropriate. I'll leave it right there, Mr. Speaker, but the integrity of the Auditor General must never be questioned. No more, no less than the Chief Justice, no more, no less than the Attorney General, no more, no less than the Commissioner of Police. His office is independent. It has to be independent, and he has to conduct his affairs without fear or favor. And he has reported what he found it.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognized you in just a moment, Fox. So just a question, though, to the PAC while we on that matter. Did the Public Accounts Committee request this audit by the Auditor General? Because that's what it sounds like the chair understands, and the chair needs to be clear about that. Member for Senate.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. For clarification, the Public Accounts Committee did request the Auditor General Office to conduct audit of the urban renewal program from July 1st of 2012 through October 2014. We requested that.
Thank you, Honourable Member. And what is in the public domain has been a leak. That's what we are hearing. Member for St. Anne's.
Mr. Speaker, as far as I'm concerned, and I deliberately, and I haven't said anything about what I read in the papers, and I really don't want to comment on it. How it got to the papers, I have no idea.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Member for Fox Hill.
Precisely my point, Mr. Speaker. Now, here we have it. Everything that the member said just proves exactly what I was saying. He used a lot of subjunctive clauses. If this was so, then it ought to be a matter of serious concern. Yeah. It was a sample. Not every audit covers everything. So all I am saying is that whether it's a day or whether it covers a year, the fact is the Auditor General shows up, he looks at particular things, and he makes a report at what he finds when he shows up on those days that he's there. He can only report on what he sees. But that does not mean, I've had an experience with this as a minister, where the Auditor General's report said that $1 million was missing from the ministry. It may have been that he couldn't find it the day he showed up at the ministry, but it certainly wasn't missing. And it proved to be the case after the fact. So I'm saying after the Auditor General leaves, the receipts may show up, the books might be found, so on and so forth. But here it is, the opposition is putting a case based on a document which they now say is leaked. They now say is leaked. And here we are brought into an argument basing a political case. The leader of the opposition. Well, exactly. Mr. Speaker, when you use information from the newspaper, I made the point before, when you use information from the newspaper, the rules say you adopt it as your own. So he's now challenging this side based on a leaked document that is untested, that is a sample, that you're using to defend by using subjunctive clauses. It's clearly just a snapshot. And I'm saying to the public, the exact point the member was saying, do not rush to judgment on this. That's all. And the judges of high authority have already said, no matter who it is, justice is not a cloistered virtue. Justice is not a cloistered virtue. It ain't like a nun hiding behind a wall. So just because somebody says it of high authority doesn't mean that you can't criticize the decision. And that too is clear in law.
Thank you, Honourable Member. That ends that matter.